You snapped. You didn't mean to. You weren't even having a bad day. It was a Tuesday night. There was a leak under the sink. Your kid was trying to help, genuinely trying, and they moved the light 2 inches to the left at the exact wrong second, and something inside you just detonated. Not a big explosion. Not the kind that gets written about, just a sharp, ugly, hold it still, with a tone that landed heavier than you intended. And you saw their face change, and the rest of the night tasted like ash. You've been carrying that moment longer than you'll admit to anyone. So let's talk about what actually happened. Not the flashlight, not the kid, not even the leak. Let's go somewhere most men refuse to go, because nobody ever built them a map to that place. You know why you do this, you just haven't said it out loud yet. The easy answer is frustration. You were concentrated, you were in an awkward position, your knuckles were probably already scraped, and the interruption of darkness at the critical moment felt unbearable. That's the answer you'd give if someone asked. That's the answer that sounds reasonable at a barbecue, but that's not the real answer. And somewhere behind your ribs you already know that. Because it wasn't really about the light, it was never about the light. Let's knock down the logical excuses first, because your brain is very good at building them. I just needed to see clearly? Sure. But a man who simply needs light doesn't carry the emotional residue of that moment for 3 days. I was tired. Tired men snap. Tired men don't spiral. There's a difference between irritability and that specific bone-deep shame that follows this particular kind of outburst. Kids need to learn to pay attention. Maybe, but you weren't teaching. You know the difference between how you sound when you're teaching and how you sounded in that moment. One comes from patience. The other came from somewhere much older. The logical excuses are scaffolding, useful, convincing, but not structural. Pull any one of them out and the building doesn't fall, because the building isn't made of logic. It never was. Here's the first layer. And it's uncomfortable. Control. Not control in the authoritarian, villainous sense that pop psychology loves to pathologize. Something more fundamental than that. Something almost biological. When a man is under a sink, or under a car, or halfway up a ladder, or elbow deep in an electrical panel, he has entered a very specific psychological state. His nervous system has narrowed its entire aperture to one problem. The spatial awareness is heightened. The tolerance for deviation is essentially zero. He has, in a very real neurological sense, become the task. Psychologists call this flow state, but that word has been so thoroughly colonized by productivity influencers that it's lost its weight. What I mean is something rawer. He's hunting, not metaphorically, literally. The ancient circuits in his brain that were designed to stalk prey, to fix a broken wheel before the storm, to solve the immediate physical problem before the family freezes, those circuits are firing. And those circuits have no room for error, no tolerance for a shadow falling in the wrong place. But the anger isn't about the child. The anger is the involuntary cost of that level of focus. It's the alarm system going off because the concentration was broken. But that's only the first layer, and it's the most forgivable one. Go deeper. The second layer is something men almost never name: the fear of uselessness. There is a quiet terror that lives in the chest of a man who fixes things. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. It just sits there, patient and heavy, and it sounds like this. What if I can't figure this out? What if I do it wrong? What if I take this apart and can't put it back together? What if they see me fail? That last one is the loaded one, because the child is not just holding the flashlight. The child is a witness. The child is watching. And somewhere in the architecture of the father's psychology, built over decades, brick by brick, mostly without his knowledge or consent, Being watched while struggling feels indistinguishable from being judged. His father probably never said, "I'm proud of you," in a way that felt unconditional. Or maybe he did, but only after the thing was fixed, only after the competence was demonstrated. And the child absorbed that lesson before he had words for it. Love is earned through function. Worth is proven through capability. So now he is a man, and he is lying on a cold floor, and something is broken, and his kid is watching, and the light goes dark at the worst moment, and every unresolved question about his own adequacy, everything he's never said to a therapist, to a friend, to a mirror, ignites in the space of half a second. And it comes out as "hold it still," the third layer. And this one is the deepest. He is trying to fix the chaos, not just the leak, not just the car, not just the flickering thing in the garage. He is, in the most sincere and exhausted way possible, trying to impose order on a world that has felt increasingly, relentlessly out of control. His job has politics he didn't sign up for. His marriage has silences that neither of them know how to break. His body is doing things bodies do when men reach a certain age and start to suspect that the trajectory has shifted. The news is noise, the culture is unrecognizable. The things he was told would work, discipline, hard work, sacrifice, fixing what's broken, sometimes feel like they're not enough. And under the sink, for 17 minutes, none of that exists. Under the sink, there is only a problem with a solution, a physical reality that doesn't care about feelings or politics or the economy. Tighten this, seal that. If you do it right, it stops leaking. Full stop. That simplicity is not just satisfying, it is medicine. It is the only place in his life where effort and outcome still have a direct, honest relationship, where the universe keeps its promises, and when the flashlight moves, when even this, the last place where he has real agency, gets interrupted, something in him mourns before it rages. The anger is grief wearing the wrong coat. So let's take that weight off. You are not a bad father because you snapped over a flashlight. You're not damaged goods. You're not emotionally unavailable in the clinical, dismissible way that phrase gets thrown around. You are a man who has been trying, in the only language he was given, to hold something together. And the language of fixing things, of maintaining, of rebuilding, of refusing to call someone else when it's something you can handle. That language is real. It communicates something true. It says, "I am here. This place is safe. I will not let things fall apart while I'm still standing. That's not toxic. That's not something to be corrected out of you. But," and this is the only but I'll give you, because you've earned a straight answer, the child holding the flashlight is not your enemy. They are not the leak. They are not the chaos. They came down those stairs or into that garage or out to that driveway because they wanted to be near you, because something in them at some age that won't last forever still finds you magnetic, still thinks that what you do is worth watching. They can feel the weight you're carrying. Kids always can, they just don't have the neuroscience to name it. And the flashlight, that small, imprecise, wandering circle of light, is the only tool they had to say, "I want to help you. I want to be useful to you. I want to be part of whatever you're doing. Here's where the piece is." Next time, not because you've been shamed into it, but because you now understand the machinery. Next time, before the snap, one breath. Not a yoga breath, not a meditation, retreat breath, just 1 second where you remember what is actually happening. Not the leak, not the shadow, what is actually happening. Your kid is there, they're still at the age where they want to be there. The leak can be fixed. The car can be fixed. The wiring can be figured out. These things will wait. but the version of your child that thinks following you into the garage is an adventure. That version has a shorter shelf life than any pipe under any sink. You already knew that. That's the other reason this stayed with you. You don't need to be a different man. You just need to know what you're actually looking at. When was the last time you let someone hold the flashlight imperfectly and said, "Enya"?